out across the global fraternity, it is quite tight in the Israeli scene, also not so rosy with Kenya and Somalia amidst this conversation that, of course, the indifferences continue to grow bigger and bigger. John Mahama, former Ghana's president, of course, was one of the picked individuals to, just debate or help ponder. I was a special envoy in regards to the instability that continues to linger in Somalia. Somalia says no to that because they feel that John Mahama has close ties with officials from Kenya. What could be informing this? And what then does it mean in terms of having a peaceful coexistence between these two nations? We discuss that as we continue with the broadcast. First, let's look at the People's Daily or the People Daily, and then the Standard newspaper and the Daily Nation. Front page of the People Daily: TSC rolls out programs to capture teachers' data. The biometric system being piloted in 143 schools is expected to improve efficiency in service delivery. Remember, the competency-based curriculum is on. This amidst lots of controversy with complaints that maybe teachers were not ready, neither were students, but as it is, the government is determined to make sure that this sails through. And well, we get to see also the biometric system that TSC spoke about. This will hugely come in to ensure that it also curbs the cheating cases that have been mentioned earlier on. We'll look at the matters education as we proceed. Why by-elections are acid test for leaders. We are expecting these by-elections, of course, Bonchari. We have the Kiambaa one. We also have the Juja one. Yes, Jubilee Party candidate Zebedeo Opore campaigns at shopping center that is in Bonchari constituency on Saturday ahead of the mini poll slated for tomorrow. We'll be waiting to see what plays out in regards to this particular case, so much so, and of course painting a great picture of what is likely to play out in 2022. A majority of leaders or key leaders using these by-elections as litmus tests to probably just determine how strong they could be in regards to their political terrains, or whether they pick strongholds from this by-election spots or not. Kwame to know fate for CJ position. A story captured on page 6. Search for the next CJ having been picked by the JSC, and her name proceeded to the National Assembly and, of course, to the president. We can only wait to see what then, of course, will play out and whether she will be picked as the next CJ of the country amidst a time where it is all not rosy between the arms of governments. And then in this particular one, we're speaking about the executive and the judiciary. Of course, the latest report on the BBI, or the latest ruling on the BBI, being amongst one of the key things that, of course, she seeks to face as the Chief Justice, as, of course, she also strives to make sure that she brings in the peaceful coexistence so that at least these arms of government can work in tandem. My case for building bridges initiative, grounds of appeal. The decision that President Uhuru Kenyatta violated the Constitution was irrational and not subject to litigation, that the president, both as head of state as a citizen, has constitutional right to instigate and promote constitutional changes through popular initiative, that the ratification by the county assemblies and endorsement by more than 1 million Kenyans is a demonstration that ordinary citizens owned the document. Now, that the government participation in promotion of the bill was meant to support the aspiration of Wanjiku. In a nutshell, what it is that Attorney General has moved to court to present this as an appeal to rescue the BBI bill after a shock verdict by the High Court that initiated, or that initiative is, or spoke of a scenario where that initiative is an illegality, and that the president is not mandated to institute such changes. A story captured on page 4. And we'll be looking at that. Remember, it, of course, forms the basis of our conversation this particular morning. As you can see, a picture of Kihara Kariuki, first respondent, Attorney General being dissatisfied with the decision of the 5-judge bench, intends to appeal the same. We see his face. We know it's the face of the president, one of the key individuals that have, had his fair share of battles mated upon him, because the argument is that he failed to advise the president's office accordingly in regards to that. We'll be looking at it as we proceed with the broadcast. That one on TSC, takes page 2, and Homa Bay representatives told off or to keep off health facilities. The health story is quite a problem in the country, continues to be one of the toughest things that the country or the Jubilee government ought to deal with, to make sure that at least we're able to sail out of this problem of COVID-19, without having to probably reverse the gains on the other numerous health matters that we have addressed over time. And so we'll be looking at that later on as we continue. Let's look at what other papers speak of. And here we are, the Daily Nation. Parents scramble for Form 1 slots in top schools. Also, one of the key things that continues to bedevil the Ministry of Education, the decision to delay Form 1 selection for 6 weeks, that is after the release of the Standard 8 exam results, has opened a window to aggressive canvassing for vacancies, especially in top performing secondary schools. And we'll be looking at that. Is a story captured on the back page of the Daily Nation, as students seek to secure slots in their preferred schools. Experts fold COVID strategy, fluctuation in positivity rate, misleading warns Medic, and a story captured on page 12. Also, not just for generally probably the Ministry of Health, but technically for you, just to be reminded that you need to always wear your mask, social distance, and wash your hands, and make sure that you get a hold of the vaccine if it is available, to make sure that you qualify to go and ensure that you keep yourself safe. And therefore, this report, as captured on page 12, is one that we need to be alert on, where experts have followed the COVID strategy, and they speak of the fluctuation in positivity rate as information that is misleading, and therefore they warn that we need to take extra caution. Inside the 15-point case to salvage the BBI, Memorandum of Appeal seeks to overturn last week's High Court ruling, and the stage is set for a legal battle in the Court of Appeal, with at least 3 cases set to be filed this week. Lawyers are in a race against time, as the Constitution provides that a referendum cannot be held less than a year before the general election. This means that the cases must be heard and determined by August, as captured on page 4 of the Daily Nation. We speak of it as we continue. New dawn as a 350 billion Lamu port rose to life. That is a good one. Long-awaited facility opens up for business with the arrival of the first ship on Thursday. A story captured on page 14. Great strides, and we'll be looking at that, and we hope that indeed it takes the shape expected and goes a long way in spearheading and steering this docket as expected. And Kitengela 4, pain and tears of missing man's kin. Mysterious disappearance of Jack Anyango in Kitengela last month is taking a heavy toll on his family. His mother and wife are now in hospital. That's quite unfortunate. A story captured on page 3. Remember, it's one that we've been following up for the longest of time, and comes along with lots of twists and turns. But then again, we hope that the investigative bodies will be able to get to the bottom of the same. Graft does not deserve amnesty. This is an opinion by one Kaltum Guyo, who calls for long and stiff custodial sentences or sentencing for corrupt individuals as deterrent to protect public interest. Those suggesting amnesty need to have their conscience and patriotism checked. A story captured on page 16. There's still so much on the Daily Nation. We proceed to look at that later on. The Standard newspaper, front page, judges have the right to annoy and be accountable. A story as captured on page 32 of the Standard newspaper, that in regards to the BBI process, how Ruto plans to storm Nyanza Whether he turns this to be a stronghold is a question of wait and see, knowing how much of a grip Baba holds down there. Whether he will be welcomed again, equally a question of wait and see. But we are here to keep you up to tabs. World Bank tops list of external lenders. Well, definitely that would be expected. Simiyu, we are set for Olympic Games, and that is a story on Matters Sports. And we await to see how then our athletes or the Olympics will take shape, and how, of course, our very own sportsmen and women will be able to carry the flag high. Tuju, the 40 minutes that saved my life, that also in one of the local stations, a story that has been captured in regards to his tough moments, the accidents that he's gone through, and how this really has changed his life. Uhuru Raila Power Team in BBI fight back. The Attorney General has filed a notice of petition under certificate of urgency, signaling a legal battle to overturn last week's verdict by 5 High Court judges and allow the BBI reggae to go on. Yes, we'll be looking at that this morning. As earlier mentioned, we'll have our guests who will help us ponder and look at what are the possible directions that this conversation will take. Brace for COVID-19 cases spike in July. Well, a cold moment, and therefore the respiratory conditions would probably, be triggered some more by the cold. We can only hope that we are careful enough to avoid such occurrences. Briefly on the roads, it's a Monday, and sometimes the roads can